National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, and he's been featured in a lot of television, radio, and newspaper interviews across the country. Sammy Rodriguez is our guest. Sammy, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are here.
Good afternoon. Great to be with you today.
Where are you?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C.
Well, good afternoon then, right? 11
Yes, sir.
Eastern Time Zone. I'm Tim with John, and thank you for being our guest. Tell us about the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. What do you guys do?
It's the Hispanic Evangelical Association. It's the nation's oldest and largest Hispanic evangelical organization with 40,118 certified member churches, representing millions of Hispanic born-again believers throughout the 50 states and Puerto Rico. The number is between 10 and 16 million. There's a difference there only based on semantics, whether or not people identify as evangelical or born-again. But it's the fastest-growing religious demographic according to Barna and Pew Research. And we are a pro-life, pro-family organization. They're committed to advancing not the agenda of the donkey or the agenda of the elephant, but advancing the agenda of the lamb. So we see the Hispanic American community emerging as the proverbial firewall of righteousness and justice in the 21st century.
I got your organization wrong. You corrected me without scolding me, and I appreciate that. But I was reading from the website at the top here about the conference. Tell me again. It's called the National Hispanic
Christian Leadership Conference. It's the Hispanic Evangelical Association.
Hispanic Evangelical Association. I got you. Okay. Well, what's your story, Sammy? What's your testimony? How'd you get involved in this?
Man, I was 14 years old, growing up in an Assembly of God church in Pennsylvania. I'm a Pennsylvania native. And growing up in my church, my parents are not ministers at all. My dad was a great, wonderful Mack truck worker, blue collar worker. My mom was a homemaker. And I was a bookworm. I was a math nerd. Had a strong inclination for mathematics. Wanted to be an IBM engineer. I'm 14 years old, watching Billy Graham on television, and just a little, still, small voice in my heart said, "I'm going to give you an opportunity to preach, and to bring the good news to masses." I wrote it down in my Bible. I went, maybe it's me, maybe it's the pizza I ate last night, maybe it's some sort of, I have no idea what it is. My analytical mind doubted absolutely everything. And then an hour later, I saw a special on PBS on Dr. King on the I Have a Dream speech. And that same still small voice in my heart said, I'm going to make you a voice for your community. So I wrote that down in my Bible, and on that second page of the Bible, and subsequently continued to engage. All I can tell you is ever since then, all I have seen has been God's hand and favor in guiding me in his destiny and his ordained will for my life. It's been an incredible trajectory, and here we are today presiding over this wonderful movement and this wonderful demographic. And I have a lovely wife who is my high school sweetheart, and lovely wife who I'm married in that same Assembly of God church. We have 3 wonderful kids who love God, follow Jesus, love their parents. They're all comedians, which makes it fun. Man, we're enjoying the journey.
Talking to Reverend Samuel Rodriguez what's your website? How can people get there?
NHCLC.org or HispanicEvangelicals.com. There's 308 different ways of getting there. PastorSam.com. You Google Hispanic Evangelicals, you'll get there.
Okay, I got you. How many Hispanic evangelicals are in America today, you say?
Yeah, and there's a variance there. Anywhere between 9, 10 to 16 million. The difference is because there are Hispanic evangelicals that say that they're born again. They don't like the word evangelical, and then there are those that like the word evangelical, but don't necessarily adopt any other moniker. So the number ranges from about 9.5 million according to Pew. It was 7.5 million in 2006 in a study they conducted. It grew up to 9.5 million, and 16 million according to Dr. Gaston Espinosa from Claremont McKenna College. So we say 10 to 16 million just to be integral with those facts.
Now, when I think the majority of American Hispanics would be Catholic, right?
Still are, except that there is, which is ironic, by the way, great segue. The majority are Catholics, except that 52% of those Catholics are self-identified as charismatic. Now, what's important there is that the majority of Hispanic Catholics in America have strong affinity towards the Pentecostal charismatic component of the evangelical community. And why do I say it's a perfect segue? Because today we're having a historic meeting here in Washington, D.C. with Hispanic evangelical leaders and Catholic Latino leaders discussing life and family and advancing what I call the Lamb's agenda. So we've never done this before. It's historic. It's taking place. I actually stepped out to do this interview in the midst of that meeting.
Well, we appreciate you doing that. That is a historic meeting and a very important meeting, and we wish you well, and we'll pray for that meeting.
Thank you.
Tim Wildmon here with John Riley. We're talking to Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, Hispanic Evangelical Association. And now Hispanic Americans surpassed African Americans as the number one minority. Is that true?
That's correct. 55 million strong. And according to projections, by the year 2020, the population may actually reach 100 million. I'm more inclined that it's going to take more than 2025. But it is, without a doubt, a demographic impacting the collective American narrative. That's why I think it's important to understand what are the values of this community? What does that look like for the future of America? And I am convinced, and both anecdotally, based on research, both vertically and horizontally, I am convinced that Hispanic Americans may very well usher in a third awakening in our nation because of our commitment to Christ, because of our commitment to biblical orthodoxy, to biblical truth, because of our commitment to life and family, because of our commitment to advancing biblical justice. I do believe that we're going to see a new awakening, and this time the names won't be Wesley and Whitfield and Edwards exclusively. They may include names like Rivera and Sanchez and Miranda.
Awesome. Let me ask you this. What is your view of the immigration debate going on in America today?
I think that debate has stood as a wall polarizing and alienating a community that really carries a significant, and I do mean, again, based on research, so it's not hyperbole, this community is a strong Christian, Christ-following community, be it Catholic, charismatic Catholic, or evangelical, very strong followers of Jesus Christ, emerging as probably the most Christian community right next to African Americans in the nation, percentage-wise. But this immigration rhetoric alienated so many Latinos because, again, the demagoguery, the extreme rhetoric that basically said, Latinos are here and they're damaging our country, they're damaging our culture. That sort of rhetoric alienated many Latinos. I am supportive of an immigration reform solution that reconciles Leviticus 19 with Romans 13. What does this mean? It means treat the stranger amongst you as one of your own. That's Leviticus 19. For you were one-time aliens in Egypt. With Romans 13, respecting the rule of law. If every Christian, if every follower of Christ would adhere to Matthew 25 and look at the I was a stranger and you welcomed me, and if you do this to the least of them, then you did it to me and do it to me, then our optics would change. I am not in favor of amnesty. I do believe people should come into this nation legally. We are a sovereign nation. We need to protect our borders. There are terrorists and narco-traffickers and people that want to cause us harm, committed to nefarious activities, that want to come into this country and damage our communities. So we need to stop all illegal immigration. We need to protect, completely secure our borders. But at the same time, we have to find a way to integrate those that are currently here in a way that reflects our Judeo-Christian value system. So I am very supportive right now of this gang of 8 senators who proposed a framework for comprehensive immigration reform, Republicans and Democrats alike, led by Senator Marco Rubio, a Republican, a conservative Republican. I am in favor of that framework. I'm in favor of George W. Bush's presentation when he was the president of the United States. I'm in favor of that framework. So if we can all coalesce around the idea of finding a solution to immigration reform in a way where these people go to the back of the line, this is critical. We can't give them blanket. We can't say, hey, you're here, you came in here illegally, you automatically become a citizen of the United States. That's not fair for those that applied and have been waiting for years to come here legally. Let's make sure these individuals go to the back of the line. Let's make sure that they demonstrate proficiency in the English vernacular. Let's make sure they pay some fines, that they admit that they came here illegally. Let's make sure of all of that. And once we dot our I's and cross our T's, and by the way, let's make sure that we deport every rapist and murderer and every person who came here and did harm. Let's get rid of those. But let's look at the other 98.999%. Those God-fearing, family-loving individuals that did come to give their families a better day. Sure, they came here illegally, and we don't want that, but they've been here for 15, 20, 25 years. Their kids are raised here. And I think it's the Christianity in us that compels us to say we could find a better way. By the way, as an evangelical, I know very well that these individuals represent over 30% of Hispanic evangelical churches. So, and this is the growth of American evangelicalism. When you look at Southern Baptist or the Assemblies of God or Church of God, it is a significant portion of the growth. So if we deport 11 million individuals, we may very well be deporting the future of American Christianity.
Yeah. Well, deportation's not going to happen. I don't know anybody that believes that, but I understand what you're saying. But it's very interesting. We're talking to Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, who's been nice enough to step out of a very important meeting there in Washington, D.C., to do this radio interview with us here on American Family Radio. I'm Tim with John. And Pastor Samuel is with the Hispanic Evangelical Association. Again, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what do they need to do?
HispanicEvangelicals.com, and you can follow us on Facebook, Reverend Samuel Rodriguez, Twitter, NHCLC. All these means are available.
Hey, Reverend Rodriguez, can you help us understand, as I understand it, the majority of Hispanics will vote Democratic or have voted Democratic. And I don't know how that plays into the Hispanic American Christian community. But when you look at that platform, why would they do that?
Oh, hey, great. Hey, great question. We were just debating that for 3 hours this morning.
Sorry.
And so it's just, you have me right there with that. Amazing. 44% of Hispanics voted for George W. Bush in 2004. 44%. I sat down with Karl Rove after that election. And I'm a Lamb's Agenda guy, so I'm just a pro-life, pro-family person. I'm not married to one political ideology, but I have a commitment in my life and with my family that we're going to support candidates that embrace a 100% pro-life agenda and pro-family agenda. But nevertheless, 40% down Colorado, because he was looking at me and said, Rodriguez, we want Hispanics to participate more, 44%. The projections were for 52% of Hispanics to support a pro-life, pro-family conservative candidate in the 2008 election. Well, then came immigration reform. Back to immigration. The rhetoric sounded so anti-Latino that this community that has a strong pro-life ethos, this community that has if you look at the Republican charter and the Republican platform, many of those values resonate with the Hispanic American community. It is, without a doubt, the faith values resonate with the Hispanic American community. The reason why Hispanics continue to vote for the Democratic Party is because of the perceived anti-Latino rhetoric coming out of the Republican Party. Hispanics have a strong entrepreneurship sort of DNA. They carry that. So the entrepreneurship, small business component is attractive. Hispanics come from totalitarian, authoritarian Latin American countries, so they see what happens when government becomes so cumbersome and so overwhelming that it envelops even the daily routines that happen in the family. So there is angst and consternation as it pertains to the size of government. We see in research that second and third generation Latinos not only grow with greater fear or concern about the size of government, they begin to support the idea of limited government, small government. So if all these values are there, why do they continue to vote for the Democratic Party? Because one party on paper looks like them, but the messaging is against them, supposedly, and the other one does not resonate with who they are, but the messaging and the marketing is incredible. So, the Hispanic community is going to emerge as the quintessential independent voter. And the next independent bloc that you will see in America, when they speak about independence, it'll be the Hispanic American community.